Let's talk about one of the world's most persistent flashpoints, China and Taiwan. For decades, it's been a tense standoff. Think two siblings fighting over sovereignty, but with massive armies and global consequences. Now, in mid-2025, there are faint hints that Beijing might be rethinking its approach. Don't get too excited. This isn't a sudden love fest, but even a slight shift matters when the stakes are this high. What happens in Taiwan affects everything from your smartphone to the global economy. So, is real change coming, or is this just another round in a never-ending game? Let's dig in. Let's take a whirlwind tour through Taiwan's dramatic and complex history. A story shaped by empires, wars, and the ambitions of powerful leaders. For centuries, Taiwan was inhabited by indigenous peoples, each with their own unique cultures and traditions. In the 17th century, the island caught the attention of European colonial powers, with the Dutch and Spanish establishing short-lived outposts. Eventually, the Qing dynasty of China took control in the late 1600s, integrating Taiwan into its vast empire. But the story doesn't stop there. In 1895, after losing the First Sino-Japanese War, the Qing ceded Taiwan to Japan. For the next 50 years, Taiwan was under Japanese rule, which brought modernization but also hardship and resistance from the local population. After Japan's defeat in World War II, Taiwan was handed back to China, and the people of the island found themselves under a new administration. The transition was far from smooth, with tensions rising between the local Taiwanese and the incoming Chinese nationalist government. Meanwhile, on the mainland, China was in the throes of a brutal civil war. In 1949, Mao Zedong's communist forces emerged victorious, establishing the People's Republic of China in Beijing. The defeated nationalist government, led by Chiang Kai-shek, retreated to Taiwan, bringing with them soldiers, officials, and over 1 million refugees. On Taiwan, Chiang Kai-shek's nationalists set up a government in exile, still claiming to be the legitimate rulers of all China. For decades, Taiwan was under martial law, with tight control over society and politics. Both the communist government in Beijing and the nationalist government in Taipei insisted they were the true government of China. This rivalry defined the region's politics for decades, with each side refusing to recognize the other's legitimacy. In 1971, the United Nations recognized Beijing as the official government of China, and most countries followed suit, leaving Taiwan diplomatically isolated. However, the United States, while switching recognition to Beijing, passed the Taiwan Relations Act in 1979, pledging to help Taiwan defend itself and maintain unofficial ties. The result has been a tense standoff across the Taiwan Strait, with both sides building up their militaries and engaging in periodic shows of force. Families remain divided, and the threat of conflict lingers in the background of daily life. This is the heart of the two Chinas problem. Beijing insists there is only one China, with Taiwan as a part of it, while many in Taiwan see themselves as a separate nation with their own identity and government. This fundamental disagreement is the root of ongoing tensions and international disputes. It affects everything from diplomatic relations to trade, and sparks passionate debate both on the island and around the world. As a result, the conflict remains unresolved, shaping the lives of millions and influencing global politics. The question of Taiwan's status is as pressing as ever, and it's not going away anytime soon. Why can't they just work it out? First, sovereignty. Beijing insists Taiwan must unify even by force if needed. Second, politics. China's a one-party state, Taiwan's a lively democracy. Most Taiwanese want to keep it that way. Economic ties are deep, but Taiwan fears Beijing's leverage could be used as a weapon. And then there's identity. Younger generations in Taiwan see themselves as Taiwanese, not Chinese. For Beijing, reunification is about national pride. For Taiwan, it's about self-determination. These aren't just policy differences, they're fundamental clashes over who they are. That's why compromise is so hard, and why the standoff endures. Lately, Beijing's tone has shifted just a bit. There's less saber-rattling, more talk of peaceful development and cross-strait well-being. Some analysts see a subtle charm offensive, with more back-channel talks and hints at new frameworks beyond one country, two systems. Even a hawkish PLA think tank recently called for patience and strategic wisdom. Is this real change or just a tactical pause? Hard to say. But these small signals are making people wonder if Beijing's approach is evolving. The world is watching closely. Why might Beijing be reconsidering its approach right now? What's driving this potential shift in attitude from China's leadership, and why does it matter so much for the region and the world? The answer starts with economics. China, once the world's fastest-growing major economy, is now facing a period of slow growth and mounting instability. Factories that used to hum with activity are now eerily quiet, and business leaders are feeling the pressure. The prospect of a conflict over Taiwan isn't just a military risk, it's an economic disaster waiting to happen, not only for China, but for the entire global economy. Investors are nervous, and the government knows that a war could trigger capital flight, sanctions, and a loss of international trust. On top of that, international pressure is mounting. The United States, Japan, and other regional powers have made it clear that any aggressive move by Beijing would be met with strong opposition. These countries are not just issuing warnings, they're strengthening alliances, conducting joint military exercises, and preparing for coordinated responses. The world has seen, through the ongoing war in Ukraine, just how quickly global coalitions can form to punish aggressors. Sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and unified condemnation can come together almost overnight, inflicting real pain on any country that crosses the line. China's top leaders are acutely aware of these risks. They know that global isolation or a sudden economic collapse could threaten not just their international ambitions, but their grip on power at home. The memory of past economic crises looms large, and the leadership is determined to avoid repeating those mistakes. Domestic politics play a crucial role as well. Within the Communist Party, there are factions that prioritize stability and economic growth over risky foreign adventures. Some officials argue that maintaining internal harmony and steady development is more important than pursuing aggressive territorial claims. Behind closed doors, the debate is likely far more nuanced and complex than the official statements suggest. Leaders weigh the costs and benefits, considering not just national pride but the real-world consequences for ordinary citizens and the party's future. In the end, it's a delicate mix of pragmatism, external pressure, and internal calculation. Every move is carefully measured, every word chosen with an eye on both domestic and international audiences. All of these factors together may be nudging Beijing toward a more cautious, restrained approach, at least for now. The world is watching, and so is China's own leadership, weighing every option in a time of uncertainty. If Beijing is shifting, what's next? Maybe real dialogue, private talks to manage differences and reduce risks, or perhaps a quieter status quo, less military posturing, more economic cooperation, but no big breakthroughs. Beijing might try to woo Taiwan with economic incentives, hoping closer ties make political integration seem less scary. Taiwan, wary of hidden strings, will tread carefully. Of course, this could all be a tactical pause, Beijing regrouping before turning up the heat again. The future could mean cautious engagement, or just a temporary lull. Either way, the world is hoping for fewer close calls, but nothing is guaranteed. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Trust is in short supply. Taiwan remembers Hong Kong's broken promises and is deeply skeptical of Beijing's overtures. Any real progress will require consistent, verifiable actions, not just words. Domestic politics complicate things. Taiwanese leaders risk backlash if they're seen as too soft, while Xi Jinping faces pressure from nationalists. The US and other powers are wildcards. Any shift in their stance could upend everything. It's a delicate, interconnected ecosystem. The path to peace is full of obstacles, and nobody's letting their guard down yet. The US is the key outside player, officially recognizing Beijing but arming and supporting Taiwan. For years, Washington's strategic ambiguity kept both sides guessing. Would the US defend Taiwan or not? Lately, there's been a tilt towards strategic clarity, with more arms sales and stronger statements. This infuriates Beijing and raises the stakes. The US wants to deter both a Chinese attack and a Taiwanese declaration of independence. Any real breakthrough or breakdown will hinge on how Washington responds. It's a high-stakes balancing act with global consequences, and the margin for error is razor thin. So, is this the dawn of peace between China and Taiwan, or are we just entering a new phase where the shouting gets quieter, but the tension still simmers beneath the surface? It's a question that's on the minds of diplomats, analysts, and everyday people across the globe. The world is watching closely as the sun rises over Beijing and Taipei, wondering if this is a turning point or just another chapter in a long, complicated story. Are we witnessing the first steps toward genuine reconciliation, or is this simply a pause in hostilities, a less shouty standoff, where the risk of open conflict is dialed down, but the fundamental disagreements remain unresolved? The truth is, it's too soon to tell. While there are hopeful signs like increased dialogue and fewer military maneuvers, there's still a long road ahead before anyone can declare real peace. What seems most likely right now is a less volatile status quo. That means fewer dangerous near misses in the Taiwan Strait, more direct communication between leaders, and a general sense of stability. But don't mistake stability for resolution. The core disputes over sovereignty, national identity, and the future of Taiwan are still very much alive. The heart of the matter, who gets to decide Taiwan's future and what it means to be Taiwanese or Chinese, remains as contentious as ever. These are not issues that can be solved overnight or even in a few years. Still, even a more stable, less risky situation would be a huge relief. Not just for people living in the region, but for the entire world. Why should you care about what happens thousands of miles away? Because a conflict over Taiwan wouldn't just be a local crisis. It would send shockwaves through the global economy, disrupt international supply chains, and create uncertainty everywhere, from Wall Street to your local electronics store. Taiwan is a critical hub for global trade. If tensions boil over, everything from the price of your favorite gadgets to the availability of cars and appliances could be affected. The world's supply of semiconductors, those tiny chips that power everything from smartphones to laptops, depends heavily on factories in Taiwan. If those supply lines are disrupted, it could mean delays, shortages, and higher prices for the technology you use every day. Your next phone upgrade, your laptop for work or school, even your ability to stream movies and shows could be impacted. This isn't just a regional issue, it's about the future of the international order. How countries handle the Taiwan question will set the tone for how the world deals with disputes, big and small, in the years to come. True peace, a complete resolution where everyone walks away satisfied, might be a long shot. But a safer, more predictable relationship between China and Taiwan is still worth striving for. It means fewer risks of war, more opportunities for dialogue, and a better chance for everyone to focus on building a brighter future. Every step toward stability, no matter how small, makes the world a little less anxious and a little more hopeful. Because a stable Asia-Pacific means we can all worry less about sudden geopolitical crises and spend more time enjoying the things that matter to us, like connecting with friends, pursuing our passions, and yes, catching up on our favorite shows. So, while world leaders debate and diplomats negotiate, remember, the outcome could shape not just the headlines but the everyday moments in your life. A peaceful Asia-Pacific means more time for movie nights, less time stressing about the next global crisis, and a world where your biggest worry is what to watch next.